Lovely. Okay, let's go ahead and begin. Welcome, everyone. You're at the Slow Food Youth Network session. Please put your name and location, and if you're engaged with the Slow Food Youth Network already, in the chat so we can get to know you. My name is Mara Welton. I'm the Director of Programs at Slow Food USA. And here we are. We've arrived at the last couple of days of the Leaders Summit. Thanks for everyone for hanging in there. It was a long one, but man, there's been some really lovely sessions and such incredible engagement. Us here at the staff are really thrilled with everybody's attention and time and energy that they've put into this, not to mention our incredible speakers throughout this whole, it's going to end up being like 14 days, I think, at the end of it. So thanks for all of your involvement. Really appreciate it. So I'm going to be moderating today and then also doing the tech. So if you have any questions about anything or need anything on the tech side of things, go ahead and drop it in the chat. I'm going to be also putting various links that the speakers today want me to put in there. So you'll see those popping in. Don't forget to take the survey for this session at the end. It's very helpful for us in our planning for future sessions. So thank you for that in advance. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to turn over the reins and let them all introduce themselves to you. We have Lily, Michaela, Madison, and Lucy from the Slow Food Youth Network. And I saw Lauren in there somewhere, but she'll probably chime in at some other time later. All right, Maddie, you are up.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maddie. I am a senior at Georgetown University, and I am also the book club coordinator for the Slow Food Youth Network USA. And I've been involved with SFYN since fall of 2019, and I'm really excited to talk to you all today about what's been going on. So thank you for coming.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lucy. I am been with SFYN since summer 2019, Slow Food Nations. And I'm currently based in the Bay Area on coastal Miwok land, and I'm the communications coordinator.
Hi everyone, I'm Michaela. I'm currently based in Chicago. First heard of Slow Food at UW-Madison's beautiful chapter. Unfortunately, could not get involved at the time, but I definitely attended some of their events. And then eventually joined Slow Food Youth Network, I believe last winter, as one of the bloggers and helping to manage our social media.
Hi, I'm Lilly Haffey. I am a first-year SFYN documentarian. I am located in Charleston, South Carolina, and my profession is chef, culinary arts to be exact. I'm also an instructor as well.
Awesome. So I will share my screen and we'll get started with the presentation. Just one second. Can everyone see this? Thumbs up. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much again for attending this session of the Slow Food Leader Summit. We're really excited to tell you all about the Slow Food Youth Network if you're unfamiliar, and even if you are, to give you some updates about what we've been working on and some future directions that we hope to take the network and build a really cool space for youth voices in the slow food movement. Okay, so our goal as SFYN, as a youth network, is to amplify and provide a community for youth who are passionate about driving change in our food system. And a little bit of background about the network and how we got to where we are today. We were relaunched during Slow Food Nations, which Lucy mentioned, and Lauren is here and she's like the driving force in this, so props to Lauren. And in 2019, we had elected youth form like our project and communications teams to try to get like a national leadership established. And so since then, we've hosted some events like leader meetings where we discuss projects and like what we hope to do in our positions, book club discussions where we talk about, we have a theme each month, like racial justice in farming or sustainability. And we kind of all get together as a group to discuss like short form media and videos and podcasts and have like a really cool discussion about that where we can like meet people and share viewpoints. We had a future food leader training, which was really successful in like gathering people who were hoping to break into the slow food space. We have a blog that Michaela works on that's really awesome. And we have an active social media and newsletter. So that's some of the things that have been going on recently. Oops. Sorry. But as we've kind of built up our network, we've encountered some barriers to youth participation in the slow food's work. And like on a broader level, we've kind of noticed that accessibility and being taken seriously are some issues that when we're a network of youth that exists separately from Slow Food USA as a whole, it kind of makes it hard to really like amplify youth voices in the work. So for example, it's not always affordable or feasible in general for youth to attend slow food events or be involved in like planning and executing projects. And also just when we're a group of youth that is not like integrated with Slow Food USA as a whole, it's just hard to be taken seriously. So we're really looking to find avenues for financial and mentorship support, and just find a way where we can really advocate for youth voices and listen to young people who are involved in this work and amplify the work that they're doing.
Yeah, so given these barriers, we asked, how can the slow food community be more accessible to youth? Next slide. So as Maddie mentioned, there's several barriers to the accessibility of youth in the slow food space. These kind of boil down to funding constraints, a lack of direction and experience, and a lack of stability and structure. Next slide. So I'll go into these a little bit and then talk about how we can be better supported with these. So funding constraints, typically young people don't have that much or as much disposable income to spend on events and membership dues and other things involved with slow food community and just community events in general. So if you're a slow food leader or you are involved in creating events with slow food or want to engage youth more, it's important to consider price accessibility when designing events or think about other ways that youth can contribute in non-paying ways like social media promotion or like building community online, making whatever, doing something that's like not necessarily just paying money. There's so many other ways to contribute. Obviously, slow food communities and chapters do such great work with community building and activism, and we really want to be a part of that. So let us contribute in the ways that we're able. And this is a really important step in being able to start to engage with and invest in youth and youth engagement with slow food. So the second thing is a lack of direction and experience. So from this, we really want mentorship. Many of us are young college students or recent graduates who are still very much learning about what our food system needs and how it works and how we can be a part of the change that all of us at Slow Food, all of us in the slow food movement want to see. But sometimes we have a lack of direction or a lack of experience with running projects on our own. So we want mentorship, guidance, and constructive advice from our allies who can help us harness our passions and make a difference in this space. So something that this might look like is asking folks what they need and not assuming someone's skill level or understanding about an issue. And just remember, we do have a lot of energy and a lot of ideas, and sometimes we just need support in how we can best put those into action. The final part of this is lack of stability and structure. So right now as SFYN USA, we are located all over the US, and it's been kind of difficult to find a centrality in leadership within our own group. So because of this, we've had a high turnover rate as members end up dropping once they realize that it's harder to contribute on a national level with SFYN. So we would love local leaders' support in being able to integrate youth with more of our established slow food communities through events, partnerships, and more. And I'm really happy to see our Slow Food Youth Network Portland leader here, Margot. So shout out Margot. And yeah, so ultimately we're really passionate people who want to take action and work. And sometimes it's easier to start that, or oftentimes it's easier to start that working at a local level. So we want your support in being able to integrate and direct our members to local chapters. So Slow Food has been super supportive of our concerns and requests. And we're really happy to announce that now SFYN is an official working group under Slow Food USA. And hopefully this will help us overcome a lot of these barriers. And I'm going to turn it over to Lilly to talk about what this will look like on a more structural level.
Thank you, Lucy. So what does this look like? The SFYN working group members will continue to meet independently under internal structures that we've created and examine the youth at a local level through their communities and the work that they're doing. They'll also serve as youth representatives, which is a new title we all came up with. We thought it was the best fit for what this is going to become. And it will allow the working groups to solidify. And I believe the roundtable meetings will be more accessible, and it will also represent the youth voice better. Also, with funding for these working groups and in general, the access would expand our social media presence, as well as increase our future marketing capabilities to the youth audience as a whole. So, building our presence via the future food. Also, we'll be able to provide scholarships for the youth to attend all of our events, as well as slow food events as a whole, pay for social media promotions, and host guest speakers, which I'm really excited about that one. And we'll also be able to create some more merchandise, swag bags. So what does this look like? Our team of 5 at this point: Maddie, Lucy, Michaela, Lily, and Kelly. Alas, Kelly's not able to be here. She is trotting around Europe. I'm so jealous. But our working groups, and also Lauren, she has actually been a big component to this entire operation. We owe her a lot. So the working groups would meet monthly to discuss everything that's needed within the youth communities, any updates or events, or anything that might need to change within those working groups. Maybe also assign people who are more passionate about one thing or the other. And then Maddie, as an example, she's super passionate about literature. She serves as a slow books representative. And in my case, just as an example as well, to give you more of like a overview, since I'm a trained chef, my passion lies in the culinary arts. So I would be a representative in the Chefs Alliance groups.
So to just tie things up in a nice little bow here, Lucy introduced some of the barriers that we thought were facing Slow Food Youth Network, specifically when we were operating separately from Slow Food USA. And lucky for both of our groups, a lot of our problems when we are combined with Slow Food USA as a working group actually become benefits for both sides, which was one of the big driving forces for us wanting to combine with Slow Food USA. The first, of course, being funding. So access to some Slow Food USA resources will allow us to expand the slow food movement among youth communities. This piece is really important because, as Lucy called out, you know, we're scattered throughout the United States. We have limited time because we're all working full-time jobs and we're in school full-time. So we don't necessarily have a lot of time to do a lot of fundraising on our own. And we also don't have a lot of experience fundraising. So having some slow food support on that piece will be very helpful. And in return, Slow Food will be giving them our energy, our ideas, and our network. And all of us are in this movement because we're really, really passionate about slow food and what that means. So I really think that it's time to harness some of our passion, and funding can help us use that passion on a larger scale. In terms of direction, Lucy called out that, you know, it's a bit hard to have a direction when we were operating in silos from Slow Food USA, and also when we're a relatively new group with people all across the country in different time zones. So working with Slow Food USA helps us just be more aligned with Slow Food USA in general, without us posting things that maybe aren't in line with Slow Food USA, or maybe working on projects that Slow Food USA has already initiated. And additionally, Slow Food will be working towards equity, inclusion, and justice by actively working on incorporating our youth voices. Last but not least, stability. So for those wanting to join the youth network, there will be more clarity and stability behind our role in the slow food movement. And will also serve as a clear point of contact for university chapters and other youth interested in slow food. One thing before we move to the next slide, I do want to point out is that although these synergies are really specific for our Slow Food Youth Network USA, I do want to say I really think that these synergies are important and relevant to any youth that is wanting to be engaged in any slow food chapter throughout the United States, even if there isn't necessarily a specific youth chapter or a youth network aligned with their local chapters. So if you're passionate and interested in joining this new chapter for their youth network, it's a really great time to get involved, and a really great time to start steering where we take some of our projects and passion. So our first big session will be a strategic planning session, which is scheduled for Saturday, February 12th, from 12 to 2 p.m. Eastern time. And we're welcoming anyone between the ages of 18 and 35 to come and join us and shape the future of Slow Food Youth Network. The goal of this session will be to develop our strategy, but also brainstorm on how to actively engage and recruit more youth to the slow food movement, to more clearly map out our roles and responsibilities, especially for youth that will be serving as representatives on other slow food working groups. Decide which working groups in slow food make sense to have a youth ambassador. We know that not every single working group may be a great fit for a youth. So we want to make sure that it's a mutual experience for Slow Food USA as well as Slow Food Youth Network. Work out potential funding and what to do with that funding. So coming up with a clear budget plan. And advocating for a paid position eventually within Slow Food USA to support youth initiatives. This one we're especially passionate about because the future of our food system is ours. So we really, really believe that it's super important to have a full-time staff member dedicated to supporting this voice. So calls to action. We're so glad that all of you came. So that's a first great step in including more youth perspectives in the slow food movement. If you're interested in engaging with us anymore, we have a lot of different opportunities to stay involved with a lot of different levels of engagement. The first thing is to join us at our next Slow Food Youth Network Book Club, which is scheduled to be on Tuesday, February 22nd at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to give the stage a little to Maddie right now to talk about it, since she is the one who will be leading us through that.
Thanks, Michaela. Yes, I'm very excited about our upcoming book club. It's Black History Month, so our theme will be racial justice in farming, and looking at in farming and across the food system generally. So yes, Mara, I believe, just put, yes, this document that's in the chat has our Zoom link, all of the details about when we're meeting. It has a list of the materials that we'll be reading. It's called book club, but we don't read a whole book every month, because the goal of this is to be accessible and, you know, just a space for conversation and discussion. So our material list is obviously not exhaustive, but it has some interesting articles, videos, podcasts, things like that, so that people can kind of get a foray into the theme we're exploring, but then come to book club and we can learn from each other and discuss. So we're very excited about our upcoming meetings and expanding this book club in the future. So if you're interested, we would love for you to join us. So definitely take a look at the link that Mara just shared.
And one more thing to add to book club is that although it is sponsored by Youth Network, this is an all-inclusive event. So we're welcoming everyone from every age to attend. And we specifically feel like book club is a great place to form some of those mentorship roles and have an open discussion about issues across all ages and also all levels of experience. Another thing that you can do is follow us on our social media. We are somewhat active on social media, but we'll be more active after our strategic planning meeting. It's a really great way to stay plugged in into what's on our minds, what we're up to, and what's coming up. Always feel free, everything that we post, feel free to repost and share with your networks, including book club posts or our strategic planning session. We'll be creating a post. Feel free to share to your network and recruit any youth that you think might be interested. Sign up for our newsletter. Lucy designs a really lovely newsletter that goes out every few months. Personally, I really do enjoy reading the newsletter, and I do get a lot of newsletters, and I might be slightly biased, but I genuinely enjoy what Lucy puts together. And I hope you will too. Mara just dropped a link in the chat to sign up for the newsletter if you're interested. And last but not least, which I think really appropriately leads us into our final part of today's session, is to really take some time to reflect on youth engagement in your chapter. In general, youth have not been as involved as in slow food as they could be. And we do really think that there are some reasons behind this, but we want to have some space to reflect on why that might be and things that we can do to address that. So with that, I'll hand it back over to Maddie.
Yay, thank you. So yeah, like Michaela said, we're including a little Jamboard brainstorm to kind of wrap up our session, just because we think that we really value like learning from each other and hearing other people's ideas. So I'm going to stop sharing and pull that up. So give me 1 second.
And this will be a great time too for questions, if anyone has any.
Yes, please feel free to speak up or drop questions in the chat. Okay, so this is a Jamboard. I don't know if everyone has used it before, but if not, basically we have 4 slides here. And Mara has put the link in the chat, so you can open it up on your own computer or device so that you can add responses. But basically how it works is there are 4 slides up here with a question. Each one has a question, like a discussion question. And it's kind of just like a visualization of like a discussion that we might have by talking, but basically you can add a sticky note like this and type a response here. And then if you click save, it will show up on the board for everyone to see. And also if you see a response that someone has posted that really resonates with you, or like you feel applies to your own experience, you can, click the pen and add like a tally on it. Or, like you can feel free to draw all over it, mark it up. We want to see what people are thinking. So yeah, I think what we'll do is we'll have like 5 minutes where you can open the link up, go through the questions, respond to whichever ones you want to. You don't have to respond to all of them, but having it shared up here, we'll be able to visualize, everyone's responses. So yeah.
Is everyone able to follow the link? A lot of folks have been using the Jamboard during the Leader Summit this whole time. So I feel like most people that are at this session are pretty attuned to how to do this. Do you want folks to write on slide 1 first and then talk it through? Or do you want folks to go through each slide and just put whatever they want, wherever they want?
I think you can respond to whichever questions you want, and then I'll go through them and we can maybe like talk through some, or I'll read some of the responses so that we can think about what other people are doing, but definitely just feel free to respond to whichever questions resonate with you the most. I don't want you to feel like you have to answer each one or anything.
I'm particularly curious if chapter leaders that are attending this session have engaged with their youth chapters in their various locations. I know I'm based in Vermont, and we've had a lot of fun working with our Slow Food UVM chapter. They have so many involved students there, and we're able to, like, especially when we did our session on Disco Soup, which is one of the Slow Food Youth Network sort of global initiatives. We have done that here in tandem with our Slow Food Youth Network folks up at the university. There's a lot of university chapters around, but it's not exclusive to universities, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we have there are university chapters that are like Slow Food Vermont, like you said, or Slow Food UVM. And then there's also SFYN chapters that are not affiliated with universities, but yes. I really like this incorporating pay what you can models into all events. That's super important to make sure that people don't feel like they can't attend an event because of financial barrier. So I like that response. Let's see, what do we have here? Culinary programs, yeah. That's a good way for, I think, like yeah, sometimes it feels daunting. Like the food space isn't, not everyone like grew up with the same, background. And so programs like that are really awesome. Get youth interested in food. Mentorship programs, yeah.
Also with culinary programs, people love free food at the end or extra food. So,
Or a cookbook.
or yeah.
Paid internships, yeah, that's very important. I think something that has come up a lot is how unpaid internships that are often viewed as like ways to jumpstart a career are so inaccessible, and it kind of opens the door for people who can afford it, but kind of shuts other people out. So that's very, very important. Thank you. Let's see. I'll make some of these bigger so we can all read them. Engaging with the local youth food policy council. That sounds awesome. Partnering with youth garden programs. Yes, that's amazing. Culinary training, school garden networks. Love all this. Cooking classes, urban gardening, youth organizing. Yes, I love that too. These are all wonderful ideas. Let's see, there's something in the chat. Cool. Asking youth what they want to see. Yes, I think something that we've talked about a lot is how, as a national leadership board, we can engage with communities directly and youth communities directly to ask like what they need and like what they want to see. So that's very important. It's something that we are trying to do. Any other responses? Collaborating with local campus chapters. Yeah, we something that we've been working on, and someone else might want to jump in here, but we have a list of campus chapters, like Slow Food university chapters, but it's possibly not up to date. And so something that we really want to do as SFYN is tap into those networks and connect with them and give them support. And like, you know, because I think like Mara was saying with like the University of Vermont chapter, like it's just a concentrated group of passionate young people that are really like doing such important work that can really like benefit our network. And so we're hoping to, you know, get in touch with them and try to get like an updated contact list and, you know, really make connections with them. So that's very important. Forming a group of young growers. Yes, seed exchanges and potlucks. That's awesome. Yeah, so yes, Heidi, empowering students to form a chapter. Lucy actually formed a chapter at Georgetown. Lucy, do you want to talk about that? Like what that was like?
Yeah, so after Slow Food Nations in 2019, I came back so inspired and I was like, oh, I could totally. And after talking to actually like Anna and just some like normal chapter leaders, not even campus chapter leaders, I was like, oh, I could actually do this. And at that time, I think it was Ian who was the network development guy. And he was like, Anna and him were really supportive of helpful in like how to do it. And there was even like a little handbook online, I think, for like steps you need to take. And then, you know, I think every university has their own, or college has their own guidelines for starting up an official club, but there's also so many ways you can do it. That's just makes it into a community. And it was super fun. And honestly, like our first semester, we had over 150 people on our email list and like 50 people consistently coming to our events. And it was great. And then COVID happened. So that kind of put a damper on like our progress, but it's actually still going strong. I don't even know any of the leaders anymore in it. So it's like, I've pushed it off. I graduated in 2020. So I was just there for its first year, but it's sustained, which has made me really happy that, you know, even though I'm not there leading it, there's still so many people who are really passionate about it. And, you know, they want to keep it going themselves, even though it's not their like passion, or it's not their baby. This is my baby. But yeah, if you have any questions about how to engage or how to encourage or empower people to start their own chapter, please let me know. I can drop my email in the chat.
Thanks for that, Lucy. I know here at the university chapter in Vermont that they have a really nice structure in which they have a rising leader. You know, if the current leader of that chapter or club is a senior, they always are mentoring the next leader so that there won't be any lags or delays in leadership, which is really wonderful, because then it does continue on for years and years and years, because you know the mobile nature of of the university students, you know, they're there and then they leave. So, and hopefully they leave and go on to other chapters and get engaged with state chapters. But, you know, all that energy at the university level is so nice to keep that going. So I'm curious, Lucy, if you had a similar kind of model.
I don't think by design, but most of the first year when I was a senior, most of our members were sophomores. And so they did have that like sustained, they would be there for 2 or 3 more years. And now they've passed it on. So that's great. And I also wanted to mention that during that Slow Food Nations, when I decided I wanted to start a campus chapter, I met Rihanna Kolchvik, who is the head of, I think she's the Southeast governor. Is that correct, Mara?
She's up in Slow Food DC.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and she's the Slow Food DC chair. And so she was a great support for me. Like we met a couple of times through that first semester. And she helped me get funding through the university, because at first the university was like, we don't need this club. Like this club you don't need extra funding for this because it's too similar to like the cooking club. And I was like, we're like, no, it's like so much more than just cooking food, slow food is about so much more. So she really helped me like figure out how to word our proposal in a way that would like be more effective. And yeah, she was an amazing ally through that. So shout out to Rihanna.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for participating in this Jamboard. I think it's a really good way to kind of visualize what people are thinking and have all these responses in front of us. So I think if anyone has any questions, maybe you can shout it out. But otherwise, that concludes our presentation. Thank you for listening to us talk about SFYN. We're all very passionate about it, and we've been working really hard on making it the best organization it can be. So we hope that you'll join us in our upcoming strategic planning session and book club, and we're looking forward to seeing some new faces. So thank you.
Thank you all so much for presenting. I'd love to open it up to questions. You can put your question in the chat, or you can just unmute yourself. But as not just the moderator of this panel, but also the director of programs, I have been thinking a lot about how to integrate youth in all of the programming. So I'm sure you're going to see these folks' faces at all of the various upcoming meetings, especially Slow Books. I would love to invite Lilly to the Cooks Alliance meeting. There's school gardens going on. There's all sorts of meetings that all the working groups, which are going to start being called community action teams after we ratify our national statute. So there'll be a little bit of change of language, and we'll just make sure that we're keeping our youth network folks plugged into all of the updated changes that are going to be happening as we move forward into the new year together. Does anyone have any questions for our leaders today? I'm super encouraged by all of the engagement on the Jamboard. That's really helpful, like especially for the strategic planning session for these folks. I think it'll be really nice to look back and have some notes of inspiration to start with.
I do just have one comment that I'd like to say. We were really nervous when we approached Slow Food USA with our proposal to become a working group, and I have no idea why, because we were embraced with such open arms. So I really, really appreciate all of you on the Slow Food USA. On behalf of all of us, we really appreciate the acceptance that we received from you all, and carving out space for us to present at the Leader Summit. It's really, really great.
I'm really excited for our future together. I think you're going to do a lot of great stuff. It's been already so beneficial for our entire network to have you here. So yay team, and yay for strategic planning. This is great. We're going to move forward together. And I think there's going to be a lot of really interesting ideas that come out of all of the gathering that we're about to have. Lovely.
Yes. Just to hammer that one home, if you know any youths in your network or just young people in your life who are interested in food, please share the strategic planning meeting with them, point them to our social media, all those links that Mara has put in. And yeah, we really appreciate your support and like spreading our message.
And additionally, if you have any youth in your network that maybe are looking for a slow food home and maybe don't have a local chapter or are interested in starting a local chapter, or maybe aren't interested in either of those things but want to stay involved with slow food, we are open to having more members. We are looking to build out our team a little bit more. So put them in contact with us and we'll make sure they're taken care of.
Awesome. Well, I hope we'll be able to see some of you folks and send a lot of folks to the strategic planning sessions so that we can keep building this movement and keep the engagement really high as it has been, but even more. We need more youth voices in this movement. This is for all of us, right? Good, clean, and fair for all. So we need all the voices at the table. Wonderful. Well, I think with that, unless anyone else has anything to share, we can close. We have another session this afternoon at 6 Eastern. So maybe some of you will stick around for that one. It's a COVID roundtable to discuss the past couple of years and how they've impacted chapters and all of the amazing pivoting that's been going on and what we can expect support-wise in the coming year. So hopefully we'll see some of your faces at that next session as well. But thank you again so much for all of your involvement and all of your engagement today. And thanks to our youth leaders. We can't do this without you, truly.
Thank you, Mara. Thank you for hosting and being tech support. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you, Mara. Really appreciate that.
All right, lovely. Have a great evening, everybody. Happy weekend.
Hey, Mara.